we go. Right, so that could have started better. So in case you missed it in the stream, that's from this thing over here. I make these as sharp as I can to actually remove prints off the build plate, which it does really, really well. It also cuts through just about anything, including fingers. So when I say be careful, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, okay, awesome. So there I see Mike's also going to put one together in the next couple of days. So we'll see how this goes. All right, shall we get into the box and not waste any more time, seeing as we've already done that? And let's see what we've got here. So like I've said, this is the first time I'm looking at one of these machines. I've never actually seen what comes in the box, but they do have a reputation, so I'm expecting it to be fairly good. So shall we start at the start and see what we got here? Now, I've never built a Creality machine, and I'm literally just got this based on, that's not bad, based on reputation. So Facebook QR code. Right, so what I've got there, sort of basic, what I'm guessing is build instructions, which looks like it's a list of all the components that are in here, as well as then all the various steps to put this machine together. So I think we'll follow the instructions. Guarantee. It's a nice bit of paper. And I think this is the online build instructions. Okay, so asking for feedback. Right, so let's have a look and see what we've got in here. Some tools, and cables and stuff. A nice flush cutter. I've actually got a couple of them lying here ready, so that's nice. Flush cutter is one of those tools you really want to have around for your 3D printing. Fairly basic scraper. All right, so as far as scrapers go, you can see it's sharpened on the edge. When I do my own, I actually like rounding the edges, and the rounded edges just help so that it doesn't actually dig into the build tack on these things, because that's not great. Plug, I was expecting that. I probably won't use that, I'll change it out, but I've got a couple of those lying around. Okay. I kind of like how it's put together. So that'll be stepper motor for the Z-axis. And that's the actual gantry assembly. And it is nice that it's mostly assembled. That moves, there's a little bit of play in the actual plastic itself. The plastic is all injection molded. Okay. You know, when you see the sort of online information on these things, you know, when they say assemble very quickly, I'm seeing a lot more assembly than the couple of minutes I was expecting. So okay, that's the actual frame. That. I guess that is loose. It's got some wires on it. All right, so that's quite good. Let's put that one side. Over there. Fix the control panel. That's interesting. Power supply. Some other than my fingerprints on it, and I think, oh wait, there's a little bit more. That'll be the other side, and so yeah, that's what's in the box. Now, for a start, what's nice is it's actually very, very well packaged. You know, when I saw the size of the box, it was a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. And you know, that's pretty much everything there is. So let's see if I can get everything in a sort of in one shot. Okay, so there, can you see everything on there? All right, so that's pretty much all of it. We've got the extruder. I don't know if you would have seen what the extruder there. Try and get you a nice close-up of the extruder just to see what it is. There you can see the heat sink inside, and got the cooling fan to blow over the hot end, as well as another fan on the side here for actual part cooling. And no, it's not a complicated assembly, so that's pretty good. There's quite a bit of play. I don't know if you can see if I do that. So there's quite a bit of play on that. So I'll see if I can adjust that out a bit and just reduce the play on that. And then that's pretty good. So all the connectors, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. The connectors have these little, like that one's X, E for extruder, Z, and Z. So there's two of them on here, marked as X. One is for the stepper motor, and then there's one with just 2 wires, which will be for the end stop. So it's very, very clearly marked as far as that goes. And I reckon the next thing to do is see if we can follow the instructions on this. Let's actually have a look and see what's in here. Okay, some basic tools. When I see that, I think, yeah, snap on. You've got nothing to worry about. But you know what? It is quite nice to get a few tools, you know, to assemble, and it's not bad, because if you actually look at it, that's just not a normal Allen key. That's actually one of those that actually goes at a bit of an offset, so that you can turn it quite easily. But you do get the tools. Just what I've got lying around on the bench is something like that too. I actually do have my own tools lying around here that I may or may not use. But bags. Let's get rid of all the stuff we probably don't need. Okay, so we've got belts. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so all the screws are in very nicely labeled. There. So screws are all nicely labeled in bags as to where they go, so we'll put them over there. So the bench that I'm working on here is absolutely massive. I'll have that over there. Right, so going through all this is nice as a couple of cable ties, but there's literally only one more belt to go on. Just got funny clips on it. We'll see how that goes together. That's for there. All right, so how they've got it on here, let's see if you can see that. So it starts, you can see that there's 2 lists of all the parts that are in it, and then it goes to sort of step 1. So we'll start with it, go step 1, step 2. Now if I go with the videos that I've seen of something like the CR10s and things, those things come together with pretty much 4 bolts. The whole thing is pre-assembled. Where in these ones, it's a very, very different machine, so there's quite a bit to actually build. That's actually something I really like. The lead screw is wrapped in a bit of plastic and is actually stuck inside one of the extrusions to keep it straight, so that should be protected. And I kind of think that's pretty nice of them to think about things like that, because you know, I think specifically of something like the D7. It had a bit of a problem where a few of them arrived with the lead screw bent, and yeah, that's a problem, because obviously it means that your prints are all going to be funny. So we're looking for M5 by 45, which is those ones. Okay. So says 4 of these. We'll do that. This one. What's the 2, 3, 4, and I think just to save my sanity, I'll put the other 2 back in the bag. All right, so 2 extension, or the 2 extrusions. You get the thinner ones and then the thicker one. It's saying start with the thicker ones, of which there's 2, and if you look at it, the one's got 2 extra holes in, this one's got 2 holes down here. And it's quite good because on the picture it actually tells you that it wants this one on the left and it wants that one on the right, like that. So these are actually tapped, both sides. Those holes are straight through, they're not tapped. But let's there's one there, and it's going to be this is going to go in there and there. Let's see what this. Oh, that's going in very nicely. Oh, wow, that's nice. That is very solid. Okay, do the other side. And those tapped. Those look like they are tapped. Okay. So let's see. So flat, nothing underneath it. There's a bit of play on there. And I'm not sure if it's the bench that's not 100% flat on here, but you can see there's just a little bit of play on there, and that might have to be addressed a little. Okay. All right. Yeah, sorry, I do tend to only read half the instructions. I don't actually see it with, but no, the picture over here is fairly clear, and it's got the little markings on and everything else. But just in case it's not, there's actually a description right next to it, which saying you want this in the front, and then it actually shows you that you want the shorter end here long end here and the way around you want it. So I'm guessing what they say about wanting feedback is probably fairly accurate. So next thing is the display. Which goes on the front here. M5 by 8, M5 by 8, and 2 of those. So 2 of those, and that's for the slightly smaller one. Sorry, you can't see me putting these screws in from here, but they also pre-tapped in the front. And they pretty much just go in. Okay, I'm going to go over to until there's nothing wrong with it, but if I can just put a little bit more pressure on it, that's probably not a bad thing. All right. It's actually saying to check the voltage, so that would be something that you should do. All right, now depending on where you are in the world, see that little switch right there, that needs to be for the correct voltage that you have in your country. So 230 or 110, and here obviously we're 230 volts, and I suspect okay, right, so there's something that is missing on the instructions. This power supply is going to go on here. But so far, all the others have actually told me which length of screws to use. This one hasn't. So looking at what's here, I suspect it's going to be the M5 by 25. So, nope, that is too big to actually go through. So it's not that. Let's try the M4 by 20s. And what I'm actually going to do is just try them on the power supply, and they go into there. I don't know, sorry, could you see that? So on the power supply, those are the screws that actually go in there, which would make them, you can see that M4 by 20. Not important. So, but M4 by 20, that goes through. It looks like it goes through all the way. So I've built a couple of printers myself, so it pretty much all makes sense to me, and I've got some idea of what needs to go where as far as machines go. But what I'd really like to know is, this is, I look at this and it's kind of like building a Lego kit. It's not really like scratch building a printer. And I'll be honest, that's what I was expecting, was a well put together kits with instructions, and you look at the instructions, they're even quite similar to what you'd expect from Lego. So I'm guessing it's part of the experience. You can kind of say, I've built my own printer, and at the same time, there's not much you can get wrong as far as putting it together goes. Oh, I love these things. Okay, so the next step is what I saw over here that we don't need. Okay, that over there is the end stop. And the end stop oh, it's actually got the nuts in there already. All right, so let me turn this towards the camera so you can actually see that. The end stop triggers when the Z comes down and tells it to stop moving downwards. Now, those little T-nuts actually slide in here, and then as you turn them, they sort of, you can see they're kind of flat. It turns a little bit and then actually just gets stuck in there. So let me move around here and you can actually see in front of the camera. See, they actually turn as you turn them. So what's going to happen is I'm going to turn them both flat like that. That's going to go in. You can see it slides down. I'm guessing I'm going to push it all the way down, and as I turn it, the nut actually turns 90 degrees and gets stuck. So I'm undoing it, and what I'm going to do actually is to make sure the bottom one is stuck. Yeah, the bottom wasn't. I actually undid the top one again to see the bottom one is turned in, because you can't actually see the nut turn in there. And as you turn it, it turns and locks in place. And that's really, really in place where it should be. So I saw this over here. This little wire that just runs out the side here is going to be for that Z end stop. And I'm just going to actually plug that in at the same time, so that that's there. And I think we're good. All right, so that's on. Let's turn that back. So I wonder, how long have we been going for? Because just to be interested to know, you know, I think they said that this is what, maybe an hour's worth of assembly, and maybe if you've built a couple of these. 2 pieces, okay. And 4x18. Okay, and I did see those were threaded. Again, I'm going to sort of turn this box out the way. Right, so this is the motor for Z. Those drop through, and I think it's a smaller one than that. Go. And this I did see was actually threaded. Now, when I do up nuts like this, or when bolts like this, when they go into something threaded, I actually, like there's two of them here, I'll make sure that they're both in while it's still loose. So I won't tighten one and then try and get the other one in. I'll try and get them both in and then actually go and tighten them both down. So that's, it actually just sits nicely, and I'm just going to make sure that this motor is sitting flat, because it doesn't look like I've got it straight. And there's actually quite a bit of play on there, so you can go and change it. So while it's loose, let's see, can you see that? Yeah, it's at the bottom. While it's loose, I'm actually going to push it down so it levels onto the bottom of the frame, and then tighten it up. And with that play in there, I could actually see that that could be one of those things that causes your prints not to be great, because it'll just have the motor at a bit of an angle and your lead screw might not rotate as smoothly. Okay, and the connector in. So, and lead screw as well. Let's see how that lead screw turns. Yeah, that's nice and straight. It's really nice and straight. Okay, so lead screw's going to go in there. Let's back that off. I'm not going to tighten it too much just yet. Right. Seems like we're getting somewhere. Now, I'm wondering if I shouldn't actually have a look at that plate, because I want to do the had a quick look through there. I can see I'm jumping a couple of steps ahead already as well. Okay, right. I understand. What I was thinking about there was just this plate, and I think there you can actually now see it move. This plate's moving quite a bit, and to sort that out, how it works is, and you can see it on this. If I hold that up, you can see that two of those I've just got round spaces on, and then the third one over here is actually got an eccentric nut on it. And essentially how that works is, as the nut turns, it's not perfectly rounded in the middle, it's off center, so it sort of moves in almost like an oval shape. So as you turn it, it changes the spacing and makes it go closer or further away, and we need to adjust that to make this bed not move. And I'm just trying to think when the best time is to do that, because this machine's not going to get any lighter. So I'm thinking maybe I do that now. So, all right, looking underneath, like I said, and we've got over here, try and find something that you can see. Over here, move that out the way. Here is the wheel that moves. You can see the wheel that moves underneath it over here. And it's got that eccentric nut on it. So I'm just going to turn them a bit, and I haven't actually, let's see if I can get them to move a little closer. Oh wow, yes, there we go. Now tighten those up a bit. All right, so I turned them a little bit more than I thought I was going to turn. I think it was maybe half a turn, but like I said, the bottom of this isn't perfectly level, so what I'm going to do is just wedge that to keep that. But now you can see that plate is rock solid. It's not moving at all. It just goes backwards and forwards. So now if it's like this, where you can see it is rocking backwards and forwards, you can just see that little edge there moving up and down. You might be tempted to actually just do the, wedge something on there to keep it level. But I don't think that's the best idea with this. You kind of want to get it square, or at the very least just evaluate that when you actually are printing, that it is straight, because that little bit of play there could affect your print quality. And that's done. All right. Okay, now let's see what we've got here. Oh, that's going to be quite straightforward. So there are two of these, and it's quite clear from this that the one's got two holes on this end, and that end that's going to go on top here. And actually, if you, let me show you this. So if you look here, move that away, see that gap over there? I'm pretty sure that when I pull this together, it's actually gonna affect how straight this is, and it might just actually square this up at the bottom. But we'll see. All right, so the longer one is the one that I'm sure they want here. And let me just make sure that I am on the right page here. That's going to go there. What are they on about here? So that okay. What am I looking at here? That. Okie dokie, got it. All right, so, and are you still? Oh man, these guys actually put some thought into it. All right, so let me show you why I said that. If you look at this, it's got two holes that are actually going to hold it onto the other part, but then you can see here where it's actually been machined out. Not only is it machined out, but it's actually got a hole drilled all the way through. And that's because it's going to go over here. That's where it's going to go onto. but over here you've already got a bolt through that actually holds the other side in. So it's meant to go over that. But the reason the hole is drilled through it is that you can actually get in there to change the eccentric nut on here as well. Right. Okay. So we are looking for M4x16s, 2 of. I don't know if you can hear the dog barking in the background. I've tried to get her to be quiet, but she does what she does. All right, so one of them through, and the other one. There we go. So that's going to go like that, and it's not that one, it's this one. It's going to go over there. Okay, that's going to take some finger dexterity, and I think I need this smaller one if I'm not mistaken. I've just had some 3D printed deja vu. Come on. That's the one in. Sorry, I just want to try and get these to bite, and I'll actually show you up close what it looks like. Okay, so here's a close-up of the assembly, and it's still quite loose. So if you look down there, you can see this sits on top of it there. That end stop, you need to be a little bit careful of just this end stop over here when you put this together, that you don't damage it. And then you can see under there, there's the nuts, and again they just a little loose, and then we'll start tightening them up. All right, that's in. And nice and tight. Right, so that's the back, and this is going to go over there. But I'm guessing this is going to go on first. Which will be, all right. So this is going to be that way up. That is where the lead screw goes through. And if that goes that way, it means that this has to go that way. Right. that's on, that can go in there. That'll still come off if it has to. And this one, alright, so this is going to go on again, 2 of those screws, same as I've just used, and they're going to go in here. And again, you've got the bolt over there, which is going to go into there like that, and you're going to tighten it up. Alright, let's put this that side, and let me come around. Those are the 4x16s again. It does say it on there. So 2 of those, and washers. So in the bags, you've got these little washers, and they are very important on this because they not just spacers or anything like that, but they actually, you can see, I don't know if you can see, but they've just got an edge on them, which means that they actually lock into place. So when you put them in, they go through, and they actually, let me get the correct one of these. Over there. So flat up to the front. I suppose it might be quicker to build this if I'm not paying attention to actually, and I'm not great at paying attention to it, but I do think about it. Actually, you know, got the camera, and I need you guys to kind of see what I'm doing here. So that's one, and that's the other one. Tight and tight, and I think this might actually show those eccentric nuts quite nicely. All right. Okay, this thing here, that is actually the belt tensioner, which goes on the other side, and for just tightening the belt. You see, that's the bigger ones, and there again are those nuts, and you can see they turn, but then as soon as they catch, they sort of turn 90 degrees and then catch, and then you tighten them in, and they really don't move again. Wait, hold on. That is going like that, so that's not going to be its final position, so I'm not really tightening it. I'm just sort of getting it to sit there so that it just stays on there, and then I'm going to put the belt on. See what happens when you go from step 6 straight to step 8. That didn't work well for that didn't work well for Samsung with a Note. Sorry, I'm talking about the Note 7. It's a good thing I stay focused all the time and never actually lose track of what I'm doing. We move around this way. So now this is going to have, okay, I get it. This has got a spot here where the belt holds on, and you can see this belt's crimped on. So presumably this goes on like that, and just sits there. Let me see if I can come around and actually show you closer to the camera. So the belt has a little ferrule crimped onto it, which goes through a little mark on here. So it sort of just goes through there and then can pull and actually tighten up. And this part up here, as you adjust it, actually tightens the belt. So the belt is kind of the right length, and then can just change to where you need it. So that goes through here. It's going to go around the motor. And around the pulley, out the top. And I kind of do need to see what I'm doing here. Oh, come now, play nice. Here we go. So that's through, and then I'm going to guess that it goes underneath those. And I'll go around to the other end. Okay, and there you can see if I pull the belt, it pulls that, and when I pull this side, it actually pulls it back. So now that part that I said didn't go well for Samsung, step 7, and I suspect that I am going to have to take this off again. That's because otherwise I am going to have a huge time getting this on, because it actually goes around quite easily if it's out of the way, and then pulls, and once it pulls, it's actually in there. After which this will go in. Still, that one will go in. That'll go in, and I'm just going to tighten it a little bit. Okay, so that really is quite tight, so it doesn't actually do that slidey on thingy. Let me just check that it's over the pulley. Right, so you can see there, that's actually So pull that tight. The one, do up the other one. And that moves nicely. And that one's locked, and that one's locked. This one you can actually see, if you look in there, turn it a bit more, a bit less there. If you actually look in there, you can actually see the T-nut is turned and locked into place. Okay. I'm sorry if that was loud. For a second I thought I put the extruder on upside down, but I didn't. Hold on, let me not get ahead. So step 9 is over here, and that side goes on. Let's see it. That and that. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, no, that's still not level. But I will say, okay, that one. Okay, I'm gonna tighten this up so that I can actually just do that. All right. Okay, so that just slides on here, and if I move backwards, I'll try and get that in a area we can see. So you can see the lead screw over here. So this actually has to turn to put it on. So as you put them on, you sort of slide it over. You may have to push these together to actually get them in, and you want to get that lead screw to make sure it centers up on the brass nut in here, and then as you start turning it, it actually comes in. Now, I think if I was putting this together without the instructions, I would have actually probably left this out and put the gantry on, and then put the lead screw through all the way and tighten it down at the bottom. The other thing now that it's on that I can't really check is how these offsets are on here. So that one's tight. And sorry, I'm just feeling the wheels. So if this isn't adjusted correctly, you can usually turn these wheels, and you can see that wheel can turn, and that one can turn. So this one's probably not where it should be. So let's see if I can. And it really is a small adjustment. I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference to print quality on this, because it really is quite solid. But as you can see now that it's pulled that together, check it, there's nothing underneath the feet, because that would it's all clear underneath, but you can see there is quite a bit of play on this frame here. And I think the way to adjust it would be these bolts on the side here, and I think I will wait until I put the top on as well before I actually look at that. Okay. Looking at, there's quite a few screws left here, and I don't assume they're extras. He says, considering the fact that he left something out. And all right. So what have we got here? We've got that tight, so that this belt is nice and tight over here. And now that that's on, I wonder if I can actually just there's a lot of wobble in this that is going to have to get straightened out. Where's the big one? The big one. Wait, I said I would wait. I'm getting ahead of myself again. I don't have a habit of doing that. Only every now and again. Don't tighten it too tight. Now, I haven't actually tightened these at all. Those look tiny. It's definitely not that. Where's the smaller one? Oh, it's even smaller than that. Back to their tools. And I think what they're talking about there is because this is brass, it's actually quite easy to strip it out. So I think that's what they mean in step 9, that you shouldn't over tighten it. 5 by 25, 4 of those. 4, okay, so 4 of the 5 by 25. Now for the people who think in imperial, who don't know how it works, is 5 by 25 is the metric width, and the 25 is the length. Shall I say the 5 is the diameter and the 25 is the length. Okay, so that's in there. Okay. Second one in there. Okay, that's going to take forever if I do it that way. I actually have a posi drive behind me on the shelf here. But the last thing I want to do is send these in and actually damage them. I see this. So there are a lot of extra screws in here. I see somebody just posted. There's a lot of extra screws is an understatement. Because I'm only seeing that I need 2 more, and I really do have a lot of spares. Alright, I'm going to guess that just goes in one there and one there. Okay, now you couldn't actually see what I did there, so I'll pull them out and show you. Up close on the side here, it's open, and you've got these tiny little plastic caps. Just squash in there just to finish off the part over there. So that's in. Those are tight. Now, okay, enough of that. Let me see if I can figure out to get this frame straightened out a bit. So I'm going to slack these two off. On this side, and turn it that side so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to slack these two off. Okay, and that feels level, so let's tighten this up. Yes, look at that. Lift those up a bit. Okay, so that's tightening it up quite a bit. And there you go. That's much better. All right, so if your machine like this one rocks backwards and forwards, you'll see those two bolts there and two on the other side. I literally slacked them off maybe half to 3/4 of a turn each, and the whole thing just settled down nicely. I pushed it down and had it nice and level, and then just slowly turn them and actually tighten them all up. And it's not perfect. I might have to do it again, but it's fine the way it is. All right, let me see. I've done Michael's thinking about leveling and not paying attention, and I think I put this in upside down, so let's correct this. Oh wait, I think I did get it right. Nope, I got it right. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to that, but I did get it right way around. There is some machining in the top. Sorry, enough. Right, and I am tightening these, but I'm not, sort of wedging down on them to actually get them tight, but okay, I'm happy with that. So the spool holder, they're saying it goes up here. Let me come closer with this. They're saying the spool holder goes up here, and I suppose you can move it anywhere you want to up on the top of this. But I'm not crazy about something I see there. I'm not sure that that is exactly where I want it. Hold on. Okay. I have seen somebody say that it'll actually go back here, and looking at this, I think I'm going to do exactly that. Oh, 5x8. Let's see if this actually works, because it might not work. I just realized that's the only T-nuts I've actually had to assemble on this whole thing. So T-nuts go on there with 5x8s, and I think let's straighten them out. Yep, they will go in there, and it looks like it's that size. Look at that. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. And then random pipe fitting. I need to say that's about the most random thing on this whole machine. Okay, but let's see. Right, now, something I've seen on here that I'm not absolutely in love with is, and that's just the right position for this. If you look at the hole over there, that's where the filament goes in, and that's very, very close to this over here. Now, it's probably not going to affect anything, but I think they could have done better. You know, if this was moved over 10 millimeters to here, I think it actually would have been good. So, not nuts about that. But I'm not sure it's going to affect anything. It seems it will clear. All right. Let me clear out all the empty bags. Now, there definitely are quite a few spares. And it does seem that there's at least one spare in pretty much every bag for a lot of these things. All right, so that's done. And then it's just wiring the rest of it up. Now I've actually done some of the wiring as I've been going along. I think there's just a few of these left. Power. So that goes in quite easily, but it actually comes out quite easy. I might just put some tape around there, or there's a whole lot of cable ties. What you can do is actually just put a cable tie through here that'll hold it closed, unless there's a reason to not actually have it do that. I'm seeing something that I'm not crazy about because, oi, okay, so this wire over here and this wire over here, as you can see, now this wire has to be on that side of this wire, which means it has to come through here, which is this whole assembly over here, and I very much doubt that that is going to come off, and I'm not going to be happy with that over there. So let me get a little bit closer and show you what I'm talking about. This wire, as you can see, it'll get caught by the bed. So as it moves back, it's gonna be in there and it's actually gonna snag. So let's see. Oh, thank you. All right. Don't have to take it apart. I think that'll be fine. It's a little bit short. I'm not nuts about how close that is. And bring this down. Okay, so this wire over here, you can see as this moves, this needs to be more or less there, but as this goes higher up, there's not a lot of clearance on there. I'm going to want to change that, because I don't want this wire sitting right on the bed and having the bed move that close to it, because I'm not happy about that. Yeah, Stephen, if you don't draw blood. You know what, it's actually the first time I got cut on that spatula, and I think it's probably stopped bleeding by now, but I'm not going to start picking at my own wounds on a live stream, so it'll just stay closed. All right, let's see what we got here. So we got in stop up there, which is, let me just check it, that's right, it's X. So if you're ever wondering about the difference between X and Y, the way I remember it is that if you look at the letter Y upside down, it's a bit like an arrow. And when you're standing in front of the printer, it's the arrow moving in and out. And the X is a cross which goes across. So X goes across and Y goes backwards and forwards. And in case you can't remember what the Z is, if you look at the letter Z, it's a bit like a jack. So for up and down. Pictures in my head. So yeah, my feeling is this wire is a bit too short. I think that for the most part you'll probably get away with it. Is that the whole thing? I think you'll get away with it because you don't often print that high. Now this thing does 250 high, which is really quite high. But no, you don't need to print that high. But if you want to print that high at some point, let's see, EXP3, okay, it is on there. And I think that's it for the instructions. So last thing is this wire over here to actually just go into the display, which goes into expansion 3. Come now, we're doing it. And yay. All right, so that's pretty much built. How long has the stream been going for? Because I've got no idea how long I've been busy. I think we started at 3:30. So that's an hour and a half. We had one or two tiny little problems at the start. One or two minor wounds. But it's built. All right. Firstly, okay, let me clear my tools out the way. And then there's the obligatory pin, and that is really sharp. So I'm going to stay well away from it. And I'm going to make a recommendation that if you letting your kid build this, maybe take that out because they might get stuck with it. Right, so they said the extra screws, and there really is quite a few extras on here. But that's a nice touch. Extra plumbing fitting and extra nozzle. Let's see what that nozzle, there's a nozzle in there, right? There's a nozzle in there. I'm going to guess that'll also be a 0.4. Looks like about a 0.4, so there is a spare one of those. That's nice to have. I'll put that in the bag. And we have, that's pretty cool, a nice little flash drive. Now, where does this even go in? Over here, right. Now, believe it or not, I did do some research for this printer before I said, oh, I'll have that and see what it's like to build. And one of the differences I saw between this and the CR10 Mini is that apparently the CR10 Mini doesn't have a USB port. So you can't actually connect it up to the machine. And I suspect that's going to be problems for when you want to actually flash it. So I'm not crazy about that. And that's, for me, that on a printer is more than likely going to be a bit of a deal breaker. Now, the other thing I'm not crazy about on printers is that apparently all of them have decided that this tiny thing over here is what we need to print with. And you know, a printer like this in this sort of price bracket is very likely to be a machine that would end up in things like schools. And you know, I'm one of those people who really want to encourage kids to do 3D print, and this is just too easy to lose. I don't understand why they don't just go with a full-size SD card, because really. Now I'm hoping that this has got something on it already, because otherwise I'm going to have to slice something to print, and I do want to print. And before I do that, I need to get power. So I've got a plug over there, and in here I have, hold on. It's right at the back. Okay, let me see if I've got another one. That is probably not going to reach. Right, okay, so for those of you not in South Africa, that's what our plugs look like over here. Great big earth at the top, and then live and neutral on the sides, which is why I'm going to use that, because I have seen one or two videos where people get a bit of a surprise. The only thing that didn't occur to me is, oh wait, there, I've got a longer one, but is it long enough? That's not long enough. Here I've got a not it. Ah, come on. All right, there we go. And we have power. Now, let me see if I can turn that. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see the display on this. Maybe if you pull the plastic off. Let's try something. Let's turn the light a bit. Ah. Sorry, looks like you can't see the display. Let's start with prepare and auto home. I've got my finger on the power. So all of those seem to work. Let's see the last one does. And that seemed a little bit slow to respond. Let's try that again and see what that does. Prepare. I wasn't crazy about that sound. Nothing's catching. Let me just see if something is fouling up on here. No, there's nothing touching. Okay. All right, so let's do a basic bed level. I don't know if this has got assisted bed leveling. Let's see, prepare. Just got the move axes. Okay, so the way I'm going to do bed leveling is I'm going to first go the whole step. So I'm going to go to prepare, and then I'm going to disable the steppers. And I'm going to move nozzle to more or less above the first screw. I'm going to undo it now. As I undo this one, because it's 4-point leveling, it's probably not going to go up high enough to actually get there. So I'm going to have to back off some of the others as well to actually get it there. And they've all been tightened down pretty much all the way. And I'm really liking how big these screws are. That's nice and easy to turn. Okay, so I'm going to back them off, and that one there is more or less right. Now, I can see by eye, I've been doing this for a while, but a little bit of cardboard or paper, and you just slide it under the nozzle, and I don't know if you can hear that. If you can hear that, it just sort of, it's a bit of resistance, but it doesn't actually get caught. And you want it to be able to just slide under the nozzle and come back out, and that's your sort of initial point that you want that at. Okay, and the other side, I see I'm going to have to do up quite a bit. Right, so it's worth noting that the way I'm leveling it now is related to where the actual screws are on the bed. There's a fairly good chance that the bed isn't 100% level. There we go, and that feels good. All right, so once you've done that to actually get them right, I actually tend to recheck, because that one now is actually quite loose. There we go. happy with that. Happy with that. Now, something, if you're printing a lot of small things in the middle here, you can actually just check close to that area and actually level around there to get a level just for that part of the bed, because if that's where you're printing a lot of stuff, that'll help. Machines like this where the bed actually moves backwards and forwards can be a bit of a pain to get that right. Some of my other machines, like that one back there, the bed actually just moves down, so the gantry moves around. And what's nice there is if you print and you level, you can actually just adjust it while you print, and it kind of just goes with it. All right, so that's happy. I'm going to auto home again. And that, right, and then I'm preheating. Let's see what that does. Preheating is, that's preheating just the PLA, and there I can hear the fans have spun up. Let's see what the volume is like on that. It's around, I'm just sort of holding this, 50 decibels. Yeah, sitting around 50. Oh my word, the nozzle's at 140 already. So this is going nice and quick. I'm just gonna, oh, I can smell that nozzle warming up. Yummy. All right. See, there's Stephen was saying there's no SD card. The SD card actually goes in the front here. It doesn't actually go into the display. All right, and I can smell that nozzle is up to temperature, 185, and I'm smelling all sorts of machine oils. Let's see, what am I going to print with? It's actually going to look nice. Let's go with gold. So this ooh, okay. Actually, let's do it the right way. When you put your filament in, cut it at a bit of an angle. Okay, now, so I'm kind of rethinking my brilliant plan with a spool holder. It's not that great after all, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to break the filament. Okay, so let's get that in, and then I'll get a right, so I can see filament coming out of the nozzle, and okay, I want to get this printing, because otherwise you're going to watch me try and make a plan, which is not what I want to do. And let's actually see what's on the SD card. Oh, it's got a whole lot of software on it. I wonder if it's got anything to print. Test dog. Anybody know what the test dog is? I don't know. Let's print it and see. Okay, so it's going to warm the nozzle to 200. I haven't applied anything to the bed. It's not warming the bed either. Let's see. That's very close. You can actually is so close to that bed. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Right, so I have no idea what I'm printing. It was just a print on the thing called dog. So maybe it's quick, maybe it's a long print. But while that starts, let me see if I can get this camera a little bit closer so you can actually see the print. And I have something that'll help for that. So apologies, this is going to shake a bit. Let's see what that looks like. We'll bring it up a bit. How's that? Right, and I'm sorry, this camera does have its own ideas of autofocus. It'll run all over the place sometimes, but at least you can see that print up close while that's happening. It's shaking so much. Sorry, I just saw what the stream looks like. All right, so while that's printing, I'm going to make a plan with this spool over here because, surprise, surprise, putting it down like that is a really bad idea. And for a start, that spool holder is going to have to come off where it is. Okay, so spool holders off. It's a pretty good first layer. It's printing with what looks like the world's biggest brim. But I suspect that if you're going to put a test print on, you're going to want to try and make sure that it sticks to the bed no matter what. but as brims go, quite alright. So let me see if I can find something off another machine. Otherwise, so quick and dirty spool holder, 2 boxes of filament, and what have I got? That'll do. Oh, no, it won't. There we go. That. Okay. You can see on the little camera what I'm talking about there as far as the spool holder goes. It's just 2 boxes of filament with a rod thingy what's it through it. Okay, so now I have no idea how long this print is going to run for. The bed isn't heated. It's pretty much running unheated. And I suspect that's going to print for some time. I don't know, you can't really see on that picture what this print is looking like, but I'm going to try and get a bit closer and actually show you. Unfortunately, the camera is I have to say, I'm really kind of astounded. Now, the truth is, this is a print from a machine that came out of a box 2 hours ago. And apart from the really, really interesting smells from all the sort of machining oils and things burning off the hot end, it really is kind of just going. It is kind of just going at it. Let me see what the volume is like on this. What the It's running at about 52 decibels, and to give you some idea of the volume, my voice is 77 decibels, so it's a pretty quiet printer. And I also have the fan from the laptop over there, which I can hear. So it really is kind of just going at it. Okay, so that's been printing for 10 minutes. I've got no idea how long this print is. Or the resolution that they've got on there or anything. Oh, I know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to pull the plug out and see if it recovers. Let's do that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, there we go. Power out. Let's see what happens. Power back in. Oh yes, there we go. Resume print. And I'm going to go with yes. Let's see what it does. Okay, the nozzle's warming up again. Okay, what happened there was this actually caught underneath it, and I suspect that is going to cause the print to fail. Okay. So let's see if that starts up again. I don't know if it will. But that wasn't really the power panic failing. That was actually just a little bit of cable management that needs to be cleaned up. And I think I'm going to do just that. Right, so let me move back a bit. Just come up there and so you can see what I'm doing. I'm actually just taking all the cable ties off. And okay, it's at temperature. I'm going to still says it's printing, but it's clearly not. Okay, so I'm going to put this like that, and I'm going to run this that way. I've got a whole lot of cable ties with it, so I'll put them to good use. So yeah, what I had there with that first print was it actually ran over the extruder cabling as it homed, and I don't really like that very much, so I've changed it around a bit to get it just run, because when it moves that won't interfere. Does that have a... it doesn't. But I'm much happier with that. I don't know if that's going to interfere if it actually gets to the top of the print. But let's see if I try that again. It would have sucked if I tried this an hour or so into a print. But I should probably load filament before I do that. But yeah, one of the things I'm not crazy about is how hard it actually homes, because it really does slam into the end stops. Yeah, so Power Panic does seem to be telling me that it's going to recover, and it actually went to the same spot again, but it hasn't actually started printing again. So I'm not exactly sure why that is, because it's brought the nozzle up to temperature, and that sounds like it's actually disengaged the stepper motors, which it has. Okay, so I'm going to call that a failure. I'm going to clean off the build plate if I can. Let's see how. Okay, and that is why you have as sharp a scraper as I do, because it really does just slice the print right off. So I'm going to say print from ST again. Okay, I think I might know what that is. Let's see. see how it really does slam into that end stop with a hell of a lot of force. I think it might just be that that micro switch doesn't trigger as nicely as it should. Actually, that's not all that bad. Okay. Alright, let's actually see if I can stop the print and control. Okay, prepare, move axis 10 millimeter, 1 millimeter for so you can move Z. Okay, so I'm turning the Z upwards, and I'm just going to try and see I don't know, it feels like it does make good contact. Feels alright. I don't know if you can hear, but those end stops are connecting with a lot of force. Let's see, I've adjusted that, the one on the Z. Let's see if it's any better. Yes, that's better. Much, much, much better. All right, so I'm going to want to do the one at the back as well, because that's also doing it. Disable the steppers. All right. Okay, so I don't know if you saw what I did on this one, but if you look at the little lever on here that pushes down when it connects, it's pushing down very flat before it actually pushes the micro switch on this side in. So what I did with this one over here is I essentially held it here and actually just bent it a little bit to give it some more contact. And then I don't know if that's clear on there, but it's essentially just bowed out a little bit so that it pushes back harder on that connector. And I'm going to do the same for the one at the back. And I liked what that sounded like, but I think I'm going to just see if I can adjust it a little bit more. Right, so Right, let's see what that home's like now. It still slams into them a bit. But that one's better. Alright, so the reason for that is if this thing has power panic, which means it can actually recover a print, you want to make sure that it actually homes the same every single time. Otherwise, it is going to cause a problem. So you want to have those end stops trigger nicely and actually get it to the same spot every single time. So with that said, let's see. Alright, the other thing these guys have said is that the bed heats up very, very quickly. So I'm going to do a ABS preheat, 240. So I'm actually going to pull this filament out because it's too hot for the filament that I've got in here. And we'll see is how quickly I can get this bed up to 80. And before I hit go, let me get a stopwatch. Where's my clock? Stopwatch and bed. Let's see how quickly the bed gets up to 80. And go. I can hear the fan spinning up. 24. 25. 26. 29. 'The fan spun up a bit. Nozzle's holding at 200. Bed's at 37, 38, 39. So that's 1 minute and it's up to 41. It's 48. It's 50 and it's 1 minute 30 seconds. Yeah, it's getting nice and toasty. And it's 57. It's 2 minutes and it's at 58. It's 60. Yeah, the power supply fan has spun up a bit. but not a lot. $65. $245. It's at 67. Yeah, that's warm. It's 70 at 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes 20 at 73. $75 at 3.5 minutes. Are we going to get in under 4 minutes? I don't think we are. It's 350. Come on. 79. Okay, got to 79 in 4 minutes. That's not bad. They're 80, just 4 minutes and 6 seconds. So that's not so bad. Let's cool it back down again. Okay, so far the only thing that's puzzling me a bit is the power panic or the resume. Yeah, the power panic seems to start the recovery but then not actually do it properly. So I'm probably going to have to read a book or something about that. But I'm not particularly stressed. It's probably just some finer detail. Anyway, I'll have a look at that and see what's causing that. The end stops I made some adjustments to because it does home very, very hard and really does slam into the end stops with some force, which I think could be a little bit better. The frame itself was a little bit off, so I made that adjustment to the frame to just get it level, and it really is fine now. That is about as level as it can be. I redid the cable ties on these just to get the shape of that the way I wanted it, and other than that, really not much. Is that the one? That's not that one. I don't know what that small one is for. Okay, I backed off the lead screw nut, or the bolts holding the lead screw nut in the screws, just so that they, because I thought that was what was causing it, but it's not, so I've tightened them up again. And yeah, I think that's all right. So I think I'm actually going to slice something else and see how that prints. I wonder if I've got something that's already sliced on another machine. You know what? I think I do. Let's have a look. Let's take this. Take it out. Let's see what we got in here. Would it be sacrilege printing the Ultimaker robot on here? You know what? It's a nice quick print. Let's do that. 195 and 40 on the bed. That should be good. Okay, so the nozzle is getting up to temperature. Yeah, I like printing even with can you see me? Even with PLA, I do like to warm the bed a little bit. I like keeping it around 40, just to put a little bit of heat in there. Helps with things like the build tack. Build tack has never been my favorite material, but I'm sort of making peace with it, and I'm okay with it. It actually does work very, very well. If you have any problems with it, a little bit of hairspray on there. Oh, see, it's doing it again. That is because, like I was saying, I tightened this up again. It's this lead screw nut, so I'm actually going to back it off again. Say no, don't resume. And I will say what's nice about having just one lead screw is you can just turn it upwards and not worry about it. You know, the i3 style machines with two of them, where you actually have to keep the lead screws, you can't just lift the gantry. And it really is nice to just sort of turn it out of the way to get it to lift. I'm liking that. Let's see how that goes. Okay. So you could hear that homed a lot better. Now, the bed is printing about 3 millimeters off where home was. Okay, right. And it just occurred to me, I didn't reload that filament. So I'm going to restart that one more time just to see. I'm still printing about 5 centimeters off. So it is actually homing in a different spot now. So disable the steppers and let's re-level the bed. In fairness, I did make a change to the right. Go. Let it go. It's not even close. That is terrible. What am I doing? There we go. I do have to say, this does put down very nice first layers. All right, there it goes. This is a much faster print. far are we? 2 minutes in and we are 1.7 millimeters up. Do a few more layers so that I actually see what it looks like in case the print doesn't, and then I'm actually going to try that power panic again. I don't know if I can call it power panic. Resume from power fail. Oh, that's a nice print. Let me get a bit closer so you can actually see that. I'm not sure if you can see how nicely that's printing. I'm looking at it on the screen. I actually have no idea how I sliced this thing. It's just what I found on another SD card. Let's see what the layer heights are. So it's 0.2 millimeter layers. No, it's a very nice print. So I'm going to say if you're in the market for a Father's Day present, you could do a lot worse than this machine for a lot more money. Actually, I go as far as to say, I don't know if you can do better for the money. I have to say, for a $200 printer, No, yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm happy with a little bit of fiddling I've had to do with it. Yeah, I don't know if you can actually see what this print looks like. Maybe if I move it back a bit to try and get it to focus a bit more. But let's see, what you can't see on that picture, I'm pretty sure you can't see on that picture, are those those overhangs it's printing into the middle of nowhere. I don't know if this is going to be able to reach, but let me try and actually move this to the other side so you can see it from the back. See, now that's what I'm seeing from here. Okay. Oh, so that really is printing very, very nicely. So now, yeah, this model was presumably sliced for that 1hour i3, and it would have been sliced for a direct drive extruder. And I think if it was sliced for this, I could probably take care of the nearly non-existent stringing that I'm seeing a little bit of. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you right now that's a very, very nice print. So it would be lovely to let it finish, but I really want to see if this power failure recovery is going to work. So ready, steady, let's do it again. And just to give the print a fighting chance, I am going to move that away a bit. Oh yes, there we go. Now I'm happy. Okay. So with that done, so I'm not sure if the first time it didn't recover because it wasn't a little bit higher on the print, a few layers in, because I suppose if it's one of those things where it doesn't recover on the first maybe layer or two, although, if you're printing something large and flat, it might only have like 10 layers. You're still going to want to recover the thing if it's half a build plate full. Especially on the bigger machines, if you've got a 500 by 500 machine, now you can spend hours on the first layer. Well, not hours, but I know on my big one, I've had some first layers that'll take 45 minutes to do a first layer. But yeah, I'll be keen to see if I can find the layer where we actually did the recovery. Oh, cat. If I can see the layer where it actually did the print recovery, because it looks like I can see it. All right, boys and girls, so what have we learned? Let me move this up here to where the problem was. And these two screws in here, this one and that one, in the manual there's a fairly cryptic where was that? Take it up to this one here, where it says there, do not tighten it too tight. And apparently what they mean is don't tighten it at all, because every time I tighten them down, it does seem to make that grinding noise on the Z-axis. So I'm not crazy about that. But if I look at it now, I can see there's a bit of a gap in there. And I'm not ecstatic about that either. So I probably am going to play with that a bit more and see if I can tighten it a little bit more. I don't necessarily want those loose like that. That doesn't appeal to me. So let's get over here. And try and get a nice view of that printing. As you can see, okay, that there is from the print recovery. But all things being equal, what I had to do to get that print to recover versus what I've had to do in the past to recover prints, you know, there's actually a video on there for print recovery, and it's a whole procedure of editing G-code and restarting the thing. And I'll be honest with you, something this size on a power cut, I just wouldn't even try. I would just restart the thing. No, but that Maker's Muse Easter egg that I printed large, that was 52 hours into 54 hours of printing when I had a power cut. Power cut lasted 3 days. I actually finished printing that egg on a generator. So this would have been very, very, very handy. Okay, so let's start wrapping that up while this finishes up. And let me give you my first thoughts on this printer. I think it's a really, really nice printer. There's a little bit of tweaking that goes into getting it to print nicely even out of the box. But it's really pretty good, just the way that it is. Improvements, I think the end stops, maybe just because they really seem to slam home quite hard. So that, the build place was a little bit loose, but that is just chipping. No, if you do what I showed you with regards to just tweaking those eccentric nuts, you'll be fine. The frame itself not being completely square was an easy fix. Just slacked off those two bolts, got it to align nicely, and tightened them up. I would have liked to see that in the manual, just to help with getting it level. And that's from the point of view that most people that are going to want to do this machine are going to want to do it pretty much like the Lego sets it's set up like. And I think you'll get pretty good results of this straight out like that. That said, this is a $200 machine, and I'll be honest, this is printing nicer with a model that wasn't actually sliced for it than the machine that it was sliced for printed the same model previously. And I think I've actually got that print here. So what did I do with it? Put it here somewhere. Here it is. So I'm running a voiceover just for what I said during this part, as it seems the batteries in the mic went out, and I'm just comparing this print with the one that was done from the same file sliced, or the same slice done on the other machine it was actually printed on, just to show you the quality print difference. And while it's still not brilliant, I am printing this at 0.2mm layer heights. And it's really come out pretty good. Okay, and there you go, the print's done. Just clean it up a bit. Move this back so you can actually see these. that's printed in gold PLA, and as you can see there, it's a very nice surface finish, and you've got the mark there where it actually did the print recovery, so it definitely left a line on that, but it's better than an alternative, which is to lose the print. Now if you compare these two, and I'm just trying to get these lined, but there you go, you can see there's quite a bit of jerk and artifacts, and you know, if you just compare the two prints, and again this is from the same file, you can also see the overhangs at the bottom. If I can get that in focus. Yeah, I think the gold is quite reflective, so it's kind of hard for the camera to find a spot to focus on that. And yeah, just hold this one and have a look at it. You really can see that's a pretty good print. So that's pretty much it. And yeah, my overall opinion on this machine is that's, for the money, it's brilliant. I can only reiterate that, you know, you could do a lot less, or you can end up with a machine that's not nearly as good as this for even more money than this. And at the end of the day, I think I'm actually going to enjoy printing on this quite a bit. But yeah, so that's kind of my final wrap up, and I'll do a few more prints on this, post them in the next few days, run it a bit, and yeah, I'll give you guys some more feedback on what I think of this printer, and do a full review on its prints and stuff like that. Okay, so you know, a few little things with it that I had to sort out, you know, to get that frame nice and straight, but it was quite easy, and it really is quite solid now. So I need to try and find something to do with a spool holder, see where it was, but I'm probably just going to put it at the top where they said it needs to go. So, but anyway, that's me done, and thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all the nice things, tell your friends, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.